Israel has successfully positioned itself as the perpetual victim, often using this narrative to deflect criticism from its actions in the occupied Palestinian territories. This strategy, bolstered by a well-oiled public relations machine, has allowed Israel to gain sympathy and support from Western audiences, who often see the conflict through a lens that obscures the realities on the ground. However, this approach is showing signs of wear. The interview with Mense is a clear indication that the world's patience with Israel's narrative is wearing thin. The facade of victimhood that Israel has carefully cultivated is no longer sufficient to mask the stark realities of its policies and actions, which many now view as indefensible. The crumbling of this narrative is particularly evident in the way journalists, who once might have been more sympathetic to Israel's position, are now more willing to ask the hard questions and challenge the rhetoric that has long gone unexamined.
Israeli human rights organisation B'Tselem said the other day that there are torture camps for Palestinians in the prison and in the military detention system in Israel. People can see the videos that Israeli soldiers have posted on social media where they're taking selfies next to and videos next to bound and blindfolded detainees, or they're filming blowing up Palestinian homes to commemorate the deaths of soldiers in a Hamas ambush. It's all these elements which are combining to paint a picture of the way that Israel is waging this war.
So is this your impression of impartial news coverage, Michelle? Because I think you just warrant the pro-Palestinian Reporter of the Year award, and I congratulate you for that. So these are the facts. We were attacked on October the 7th, not in a war that we wanted. We were invaded. They want to destroy our country. It's being controlled by Iran. We have a duty to our own people. We are mandated by Israel's people as a democracy to defend this country. That's precisely what we'll do. We will always get the people out of harm's way. All of the global experts on urban warfare all say the same thing, that we've achieved the gold standard when it comes to targeting our war against the terrorists and keeping civilians out of harm's way.
What's the answer to the torture camps for Palestinians that B'Tselem have spoken of?
So there's no such thing. That simply doesn't exist. We do have an issue in that we have arrested many terrorists. We have arrested them, and we've had an influx of terrorist suspects into our prison, and we have had to make accommodations for them. We didn't expect to have tens of thousands of terrorists coming into our prison system.
Does accommodation
so we are
mean
adjusting to
them?
it. That is appalling. That's an appalling accusation. And without you producing reports on this war, and it is a war, one-sidedly, without context, what it does, it ends up with attacks on Jews on the streets of Britain.
You seem to be dismissing the deaths of 81 people as a PR coup for Hamas. These are mothers, children, these are families, many of whom have been displaced from other parts of Gaza, who wouldn't have anywhere else to go, who very probably had very little choice about where they were able to get shelter, whether or not Hamas were using the same building.
So, Jane, firstly, that's quite offensive to say that. My point to you is that we released the photographs of 19 terrorists with blood on their hands, their names, their crimes, the organisation, and we targeted them and we defeated them. We used extremely precise intelligence. Our footage, and we've released this footage, shows very clearly there were no civilians in the area at the time of the blast. Look, we have to wake up.
That's not what Save the Children say, though,
right?
And they are also there on the ground.
We need to have our eyes open on this. This is a PR battle which we're facing as well. You know, Hamas wants these images to be shown in the Western media. Our info is that we got these 19 terrorists. We're pleased about that because, the world's a better place without them. We can move on in our battle to try and restore peace. But what about
the other 81 is my point?
There aren't any 81. That's the truth of the matter. There aren't any other.
That is not what charities are saying there.
Right. So, unfortunately, lots of people like UNRWA, which is also a charity, they actually participated in the
this is Save the Children. This isn't UNRWA.
So I don't know about Save the Children, but what I know is this is a PR battle. I've given you our intelligence. We know that 19 were killed. We're looking into if there were any other collateral damage, which of course we'll apologise for if that is the case. But what I'm telling you is we can say categorically when we fired these precise munitions, calibrated perfectly to get precisely to the terrorists, to make sure there aren't any civilian casualties. There weren't any other civilians in the area. So any other ideas which might come afterwards, it's incumbent on world media to be critical, to look at these issues with a critical eye, because Hamas have a history of lying. I mean, none of us here in Israel are surprised. They raped our families. They burnt whole families alive. It's no big surprise that they happen to be liars as well. But I understand for Western media.
That I'm certainly quoting here. It's the charity Save the Children.
So almost, Jane, this is an important point because almost nothing, no information leaves Gaza without it being cleared.
It would help if international journalists were allowed in there by Israel, then we would be able to give independent verification, but you don't allow us in, so we can't. Can I just put one final point to you? Whatever happened on Saturday.
That's what you call a drive-by. Allow me to respond to that when you make that accusation. This has been one of the most reported conflicts ever.
But not freely by the international media. The international media, Sky News, are only allowed in accompanied by Israel on very, very limited trips.
It is a very dangerous war zone for the safety of these journalists, but we're keeping them out. But we will let them in.
That's a decision that you've just acknowledged. You are keeping them out.
No,